cup competitions. Every great footballing nation has one, and every great footballing nation does it in their own magic way. In England, they've got the FA Cup, 150 years of history, making it the oldest in the world. In France, they've got the Coupe de France, encompassing 8,000 teams, making it arguably the biggest cup competition in the world. And it's no different here in Germany, where their cup, the DFB-Pokal, has a magic of its own.
Die have an expression in German football.
Der DFB-Pokal hat seine eigenen Regeln.
Der DFB-Pokal hat seine eigenen Gesetze.
Der Pokal hat seine eigenen Gesetze. The cup has its own rules.
On a given day, anything can happen.
And that's because the magic of the DFB-Pokal started at the very beginning from round one, thanks to its extremely unique draw.
So it's not like in England with the FA Cup where the Premier League teams only enter at the third round. In Germany, the Bundesliga teams, second Bundesliga teams, third division teams all start in the first round, plus the winners of these regional cups which took place the previous season.
This mad draw ensures there's narratives behind every match.
5th division, even 6th division amateur teams who have won their local cup being in the same draw as Bayern Munich, Borussia, Dortmund.
It's just incredible to see two groups of organized fans from sides that you could never see meeting on a league platform.
And just like any good cup tournament, despite the unevenness, even in round one, every match guarantees mad, you can't even make it up moments.
Hertha Berlin's reserve team made it to a cup final. Hertha Berlin's first team have never achieved that.
Arminia Aachen, 4th league.
4th division team.
Yes. Bayern Munich. Bayern München.
They knocked out Bayern Munich.
Tschüss. Yes, Bayern Munich. Go bye. Yalla, tschüss.
And when you combine it with the local element of German football, it creates a combination that is really unbeatable in my eyes.
And so as another DFB-Pokal kicks off, Copa90 decided we want to experience this famous or infamous round one for ourselves. So we're going to 3 matches in 3 different parts of the country in 3 days to see for ourselves just what is the magic of the DFB-Pokal. Alright, well, we start off our DFB-Pokal adventure here in West Germany, the small town of Krefeld to be exact, home to Krefeld Football Club Erdenen 05, or KFC Erdenen 05 for short. A very small club with a mega crazy history that's intertwined with this tournament.
Why I love Uerdingen? Well, I born in Uerdingen. I die in Uerdingen. Red and blue. This is the color from my club.
Now, whilst today, yes, they reside amongst the lower leagues in German football, that hasn't always been the case. And back in the 80s, KFC Erdenen 05 actually competed with the bigger boys.
We were playing in the first division.
The history is great.
We had also some national players in the German national team.
In fact, the club's most glorious moment in its 100-year history was in that decade in this tournament.
This one, I show you on this shirt. 85, that's the season when we won the German Cup.
Against
Bayern München.
We were the first team went to Berlin.
Every time was in this city and this city.
That was the first cup final in Berlin.
Yeah, in Berlin. And then before it was in
different cities.
And then the German community has said every Pokal finally is in Berlin.
So you won the first Pokal in Berlin?
Yes.
And then you have a song now.
We created a chant, a song.
Berlin, Berlin, wir fahren nach Berlin.
Everybody now is singing.
But in the late 90s, things really went downhill when their main backers, Bayer, took away funding to focus solely on the club in Leverkusen. And that's when things really turned sour.
We went into the 6th tier.
From the first?
From the first into the 6th. We went down.
Down, 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 down.
How down?
Down.
How?
Down, 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 down.
Wow.
And then cash.
Finished. Mired all the way down in the 6th division. Things got so bad, the club had to turn to desperate measures just to survive. It's true that you guys auctioned the chance to be the coach of the club? Yeah. Tell me that story. That I've never heard that in the world.
Well, we were broke, of course, so how can you generate some money was, well, eBay.
Pete Doherty from the Libertines, what did he do?
And Pete Doherty grew up a few years in Krefeld.
Yeah, he was a fan. Yeah, to the games.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Videos and he's singing sha la 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 Erlangen.
He helped their cause, or he helped tell people?
When we were broke, yeah.
I think he sent a video message and
We were allowed to advertise with it.
But whilst they're now back in the professional divisions, according to the DFB, their facilities still aren't up to scratch. So despite being the home team, they're having to play their home match 30 minutes up the road in Düsseldorf. Now, whilst playing here in Düsseldorf means they're going to miss out on having a literal home advantage, where KFC 05 will benefit is financially, because this ground can hold up to 50,000 fans, and it's going to come close to selling out, not because of the little home side, but the very big away side. None other than Borussia Dortmund. Truly one of the giants of German football. Their history is intertwined with the DFB-Pokal. They've won it 4 times, been runners-up 5, and their fan base is one of the best in Germany, if not the world. But it's their experience in the first round of this tournament where the real magic of the DFB can be found in Dortmund's history, where despite their giant size, they've stumbled against tiny opposition multiple times. There was 97 against Eintracht
und ging ebenfalls unter im Moselstadion.
2005 against Eintracht Braunschweig.
Und jetzt die Möglichkeit für Graf und der Ball ist im Tor! Dann weiß, wie man trifft im Pokal!
And 2010 against Kickers Offenbach.
Lütterleck bei Dortmund, Lewandowski. Die Kickers Offenbach warfen den BVB aus dem Pokal.
And so despite the fact that KFC 05 should really have no chance against a club of this size, well, if a club of this size has shown us anything, it's that anything can happen in the DFB-Pokal.
This is raw meat and it's scrambled. It's with onions and usually you do salt and pepper.
Can I say the name? Mittwoch. Metz? Brötchen. We're in a small town in Germany. There's hours to the game. They're just taking over the street and bouncing. It's gonna get squishy, so I'm just gonna warn you. Oh, look at this! They actually bring their own beer bottle holders the German way. So obviously this is a cup involving small teams who always need financial assistance. Check this out. The Erlangen fans are passing around a giant box to put donations in.
Barry coming into the move, Rodriguez!
Erlangen just came within centimeters.
Alcácer!
Another unbelievable save by the Erlangen goalkeeper. Borussia have had like 10 clear goals stopped off the line.
From Uerdingen, and Mats Hummels. Oh, he's been beat, eh? Oh, he got... Akanji, and he slips it through to Marco Reus. Instant control. Might fancy his chances. Oh, he certainly did!
Well, they didn't get the magical upset, but today a third division team that was meant to be dead played a match amongst 40,000 people. We're 20 minutes after the match, and look at the KFC 05 fans, they are still singing. That is the magic of the DFB-Pokal, and we still got 2 more games to go. Alright, day 2, and we are hitting the famous Autobahn for a 3-hour drive south for our second match. It's FC Kaiserslautern versus Mainz. Another third-tier team against a first-tier team, but this time the David versus Goliath roles are kind of changed because it's actually the lower league team, FC Kaiserslautern, that's arguably the bigger club.
This is a huge football club. As recently as 2001, they were UEFA Cup semi-finalists.
You see FC Kaiserslautern, the club boasting one of the richest histories in the German game. They won 2 Bundesligas and DFB-Pokals in the 90s alone. They've boasted some of the biggest stars in the game.
Michael Ballack and Miroslav Klose, Franz Walter, player that won Germany's first World Cup.
And they've got one of the most iconic stadiums in Germany.
The stadium is absolutely brilliant, one for the football romantics for sure. It's on a small mountain, the mountain is called Betze. In the stadium it says Betzenberg, the mountain of Betze. They're famous for that that name as well. There's a reason this stadium here holds more than 40,000 people. It was planned with the purpose of being the home of Kaiserslautern because their fan base is so massive.
But like we saw with Uerdingen yesterday, financial problems off the pitch have affected the club on the pitch, which has resulted in multiple relegations, including a first ever to the 3rd division.
This is a huge football club who have had a pretty dramatic collapse in recent years.
And so once again, the DFB-Pokal is helping another once legendary club get back into the headlines. And on top of that, it's providing a derby because FC Kaiserslautern's opposition today is Mainz, a team from the same region.
2 clubs from the Rhineland-Pfalz, from the Pfalz region. In English it's called Palatinate.
And when these 2 teams play, they don't get along and there's always fireworks.
The last time they met in the DFB-Pokal was the quarter-final, went to penalties. The coach lost it completely, the Kaiserslautern coach.
I saw that in the press conference.
Yes, the press conference. There was an incident with a ball that hit the post, complete chaos basically.
Like it crossed the line but it didn't cross the line.
Yeah, exactly, one of those.
Der Elfmeter war drin, das wäre das 3-0 gewesen. Und dann glaube ich, sind wir weiter. Und dann haben die Schiedsrichter sehen sowas nicht. Das hat es eigentlich in der ganzen DFB-Pokalgeschichte, glaube ich, noch nicht gegeben.
It's basically one of the legendary press conferences in Germany and.
Okay, I remember because also Mainz had Jürgen Klopp at the time.
Yeah.
Ich nochmal, den Ärger kann ich 100% nachvollziehen, aber mehr kann ich dazu eigentlich auch nicht sagen.
Every single time they play, it gets emotional.
The only problem is, with them being in such different divisions, they haven't met in a while.
2 rivals hadn't actually met in a competitive game since 2012.
Luckily, the cup's insured, they finally meet each other again.
This sort of games is basically what people love the competition. You talk about the 3rd league side that consider themselves way bigger than the 1st division side.
This weekend's game against Mainz, one of the biggest days in Kaiserslautern's recent history.
Eine Rostwurst.
Mainz on the front foot now though with Quaison. Good save still, Timmy Thiele. Penalty.
I can't even watch. He's got his back to the penalty, he can't even look.
Manfred Starker will take this for Kaiserslautern. Oh, the goalkeeper saved it initially. Final 2 minutes of the 90. Scrambled away by the goalkeeper. Pushed back again. Monscartalidis. Florian picks his spot and scores! It's 2-0!
Never seen that. Tens of thousands of fans, the ultras in the family section, waving white hankies and Villa said goodbye to their derby rivals. This is amazing. Right, here we go, day 3, and once again we started on the Autobahn, and once again we are heading south for match 3 for another game between a 3rd division team that's hosting a 1st division team. This time the lower league hosts are SV Waldhof.
SV Waldhof Mannheim.
Such a big tradition. This club is from 1907.
They play in blue and black. They were famous in the 80s.
Quite a small club who've just been promoted from the 4th. They've been through some hard times recently.
We got down to the 7th league.
But they play in an incredibly cool stadium.
Karl-Benz Stadium. Karl-Benz
Yeah,
Mercedes-Benz.
Who invented the first car?
So he's like a local legend.
Yeah,
Of course, he is.
They actually set a record for a 5th division game when almost 14,500 fans turned up to watch an effectively amateur game in Germany.
But it's in the recent history of SV Waldhof's opponents, Eintracht Frankfurt, where the real magic of this tournament can be found today. Because only 2 seasons ago, Eintracht Frankfurt went all the way.
30 years for the last title and you win that against Bayern Munich. It was better than sex.
A dramatic finale where Frankfurt broke away on the counter-attack to make it 3-1 right in front of their own fans gathered in the Olympic Stadium. Cue absolute chaos.
Seals it.
Fans onto the running track. Substitutes, coaching staff all piling in.
And if you want to know how much this tournament means to German football fans, well, all you need to do is look at the celebrations and scenes in Berlin on that final, or for the weeks after in Frankfurt.
Best everybody.
Yeah, you only have to see the reaction of the fans in the stadium and the absolute euphoria that victory unleashed in the city of Frankfurt.
Over 300,000 people.
The biggest night in Eintracht Frankfurt's recent history.
But it's what happened to Eintracht Frankfurt in the next DFB-Pokal season, only a few months later, that told the real story of this tournament, as Eintracht Frankfurt, as reigning title holders, were knocked out in the first round.
Knocked out of their own competition just 3 months after lifting the trophy to Division 4 side SSV Ulm.
A bunch of basically amateurs.
And having Ulm is famous for its huge cathedral, but not really for its football team.
Es gibt keine Kleinen mehr.
And so whilst the chances of another upset happening, like we saw yesterday, seems almost impossible, if Eintracht Frankfurt have taught us anything in this tournament, it's that anyone can go all the way or be knocked out in the first round.
Mannheim isn't far from Frankfurt.
It's like the best place in the world.
Since about 2006, particularly the ultras of both clubs, have had a relatively close relationship. They're actually considered friends.
But yesterday we had a derby, it was tense, you had all that amazing rivalry feel. Today, because Mannheim and Frankfurt are friends, everyone's getting along.
Look over there, look over there. Everyone is just full of party.
This is one of the best things about German football. They're called Kutten. They're these amazing denim jackets. You put all kinds of badges on, from to how much you hate your rivals to how much you love your team. And I mean, look at the back of this one. They're just amazing. No country in the world does anything like this with their clothes.
It can be a full house. Tickets today are really, really hard to come by.
Sold out, the whole stadium is sold out,
Yeah.
like 25,000 people.
I know it's a long shot, but if Frankfurt can lose to Ulm last year after holding the DFB-Pokal, surely they could slip up here. Or is that too long of a shot after everything that's happened?
Certainly not.
Traps lost it. De Ville and Suleimani!
We're 2 minutes in! The third division team is beating the first division team again!
They go alone. Suleimani! And he's got 2 in the first 11 minutes of this cup tie.
It's 2-0. This is a third division team. They were in the 4th last season. How is this happening twice in 2 days?
Chasing the lost cause. It'll come for Kamada!
2-1. Frankfurt have got one back.
Here is Kostic. He's in space. Oh, it's unstoppable.
Who would have thought this was the best game of all? The friendly. No way. Let's go. That would have been a worldie. Mannheim now taking control of the game. They're going for the lead. It's 2-2 now, but someone has got the score, surely. And listen to that crowd, look at them.
It's here for Jan Marks. Oh! That is very special from Jan Marks. An unbelievable goal. Substitute. Cross was deflected.
It's 3-3. I didn't even see it. This is insane. 6 goals. But they're still bouncing.
And Rebic. Oh, that's neatly done. Frankfurt in front for the first time this afternoon.
4-3. Frankfurt taking the lead with 9 minutes. You've got to be kidding me. We've got 7 goals.
Waldhof Mannheim suffer a brave defeat as the 2018 DFB Cup winners survive a massive scare.
All right, well, that's it. 5-3, the big boys win. But what an experience, 3 days. We've gotten scenes on and off the pitch, and to finish it with something like this, in a small town filled with 20,000 people, we have had the magic of the DFB-Pokal. I think I might just have to come back for the second round.